All right, a couple of quick announcements before we get into the podcast and back to the intro song you guys love so much. I did a podcast / video series with deer hunting legend Lanny Benoit recently, and it's something I'm extremely proud of, extremely lucky to have been able to get that opportunity. For those who don't know, Lanny Benoit is a tracking legend, has killed some of the biggest bucks the Northeast has ever seen. 272-pound bucks. I mean, his average for a couple of years there was 242 pounds. That's just for an average buck is insane. He is a really gracious guy, super fun to talk to, and he hasn't done a podcast ever. So the deer hunting world is going to be looking out for this, and I can't wait to release it. I'm just learning some video editing and stuff. So be on the lookout for that. It's going to be a 3-part series called the Living Legend series. And again, it's with Lanny Benoit. We will release it on YouTube, as well as the audio version on podcast. So if you're just listening with audio, you can. But make sure you get onto our YouTube and subscribe there so that when they drop, you will be notified about it. We also will have some podcasts this fall with some female hunters, so I know that's been a thing people have requested, so we're going to line up some female hunters. If you have somebody in mind that you think would be a great interview, let me know about it, but I'm hoping to do 3 or 4 female hunters this fall. We'll also, we're in talks with some other hunting legends to continue that Living Legend series, so we'll see how that goes. I did buy a new camera, some audio equipment, and I'm hoping to do some more filming this year with some better quality, so been playing around with the camera. That Lanny Benoit interview will be the, my first kind of video production, but I'm hoping that I can bring that camera out into the woods and get some better footage this year too. And then finally, check out our new blog, whitetailwisdom.com, where we'll be putting up some articles periodically, in written form. Let me know if you want to be a contributing writer there. We could definitely use some writers who have some knowledge to share. So that's it for now, and we'll get into the podcast. You're listening to the Hunt Suburbia podcast. I'm your host, Pat Guyette. Big bucks I've been dreaming often, every night till I'm in a coffin. Vermont woods to the burbs of Boston, I'm looking for a tree to get lost in. Crisp mornings, little dust in the snow, quality time, just me and my bow. Fall evenings, I know just where to go for some quality times for me and my bow. It's just me and my bow. All right, this week I sit down with Jim Levasseur. He is a great hunter out of Massachusetts, kills a lot of big bucks, got a ton of knowledge. He is an official scorer for the Northeast Big Buck Club. We talk about a bunch of different hunting strategies, scent control. He's super anal about scent control and takes that very seriously. He tells stories about his top 3 bucks, and there's just a lot of great stuff in this one. Most of you are going to know who Jim is. He's pretty active on Boston Bow Hunter and all the online fan pages and Northeast hunting pages, and just a humble dude. Had a lot of fun talking to him. I hope you guys enjoy it. All right, we got another episode of Hunt Suburbia, and back in the garage studio for the first time. Last time we were here was in the fall last year, and then inside for the winter. We're back in the garage, and we got Jim Levasseur. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, it is.
Yep. Levasseur.
I've heard it a million different ways. Levasseur.
What is that? French?
Yeah.
Yeah?
French-Canadian.
Yep. So you guys probably had some trackers in your blood.
Not really.
No? Any Indian blood?
Well, not that I know of.
No.
My father didn't even start hunting until he was 29 years old. And nobody in the family before that was hunters, so I don't know where it came from.
Yeah, well, Quebec, French-Canadian. My family started up there, too, and then moved down to St. Albans, Vermont. And, always been a lot of hunters, from French-Canadian part of the country.
I'm not sure where they came from in my family, but...
Yep. Well, we got Jim here. He's part of the Northeast Big Buck Club, and Northeast Big Buck Club is the presenting sponsor of the podcast now. Those guys are great guys. They do it's a nonprofit, do a lot of great things. We'll let Jim talk about it a little bit, but go on the website, bigbuckclub.com, and become a member. It's only $25 for the year. You get all the magazines. What else do you get for that, Jim?
Yeah, you get the magazines. You'll get invitations to get deer scored. You'll get invitations to the banquet, the annual banquet, awards banquet, which is a great time. You don't have to shoot a big buck to go to the banquet. Anybody can go if you're a member.
Yeah, and everybody's telling me the banquet is a really great time. Like, I haven't been yet. I'm going this year. I'll be doing some podcasts there. Hopefully getting some of the number one bucks from each of the states and get them on the podcast to tell their stories. And, yeah, it's supposed to be a great time. I mean, there's hundreds of heads from some of the biggest buck shot in the Northeast ever go up there on display. Obviously, tons of great hunters there to talk to and mingle with, and really great food. So, yeah, so look out for more of that. Get on bigbuckclub.com, become a member, and go to the banquet, man. There's only 450 spots to the banquet, so the first 450 will get in, and then we'll be cut off after that. And then before we start, I started a blog too, www.whitetailwisdom.com. I just figured, in the off time, some of the stuff we're not putting on the podcast, to get on there, write some articles. Anybody who wants to be a contributing writer and write some articles, do some blogging, shoot me an email at huntsuburbia@gmail.com, and we'll see if we can get you on there and get some blogs and articles written. It's kind of like a live magazine, It's like the Northeast Big Buck Club magazine, but for online.
Sounds
right?
good. Yeah.
All right. So Jim, Jim's a really, really good hunter. I've heard a lot about him. I've seen him in all the Facebook pages and Boston Bow Hunter. Like I said, he's part of Northeast Big Buck Club. Let's start out with just tell us a little bit more about Northeast Big Buck Club, what you do there, and how people can help.
Well, I'm an official scorer for the Northeast Big Buck Club. Have been for about the last 3 years. I've been an active member since 2006. And just gotten involved more and more with each passing year. I like being a part of it. Hunting's been really good to me over the years, and it just seems like the older I get, the more I want to give back, so I'm getting more involved every year.
And so there's scorers all over the state. So if somebody wants to get their buck scored, then
yeah, each state has several scorers, and the list of scorers is on the Northeast Big Buck Club website. So you can go on there, find a name and what town they live in, the closest one to you.
Yep.
Give them a call and set it up. Sometimes we'll go to your house and score them, and sometimes you can come to my house and score them. Depends on how it works out.
I saw. Didn't you score Pat Burns' sheds last year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He came to my house. He kind of runs to my house when he picks up those big ones because he wants to show them off, and I don't blame him because I do the same thing.
And how much did that one score again? Do you remember?
Oh, God.
189 or something?
It was something like that. Yeah, it's crazy big.
Yeah. Really great buck.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to get their buck scored, it doesn't have to be big. If you're just curious and you got a little basket rack and you want to get that scored, go on their website and, like you said, find a list of scorers and contact them. And if you have... What does it take to get entered into the official record book?
Any deer that was shot during archery that scores over 110 inches, and any deer that was shot with a firearm, including muzzleloaders, has to be over 120.
Awesome.
That's it.
Yeah. So then you get entered in the official record book. You might, your picture might show up in one of the magazines. And if you get a buck scored by Northeast Big Buck Club and you buy a ticket to the banquet, then you get a free plaque, which is really nice. I've seen him in Kevin Polis's trophy room. He's got one of those plaques under all of his mounted bucks, and that's a really great, that's worth the ticket to the banquet in itself, right?
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Yeah.
They're nicely done, laser engraved. They're pretty nice.
Yeah, so support those guys. And Jim, let's talk about, because I really want to pick your brain, because I've seen some of the bucks you killed.
I get lucky every now and then.
What was that big one? I think it was your second buck last year. What did that one end up scoring? And tell the story about that buck.
Just got it back from the taxidermist last week and got him scored at 151 and 3/8, 11-pointer, non-typical. And it's kind of a long story, but I don't know how much time we have.
Oh, we got plenty of time.
All right, so I had private property that I was hunting in Zone 5 for a while, and had this buck show up on my camera 3 years ago. 2 years ago, the property got sold. I had been hunting that property for quite some time. The property got sold, I'm out of there. Then I found out last year that the adjoining property to him on the back side of the property had been donated to the state, and it was open to hunting.
Oh, wow.
So took a walk in there and found out access was good and liked what I saw, and just decided to keep an eye on it. So that's how it started, put some cameras out. Didn't take long to get a picture of a nice big buck. Thought it was something worth going after.
Now, 3 years ago, it was already a shooter. Right?
Oh, yeah, it definitely was.
How old do you think he was 3 years, or now when you shot it, and 3 years ago?
Well, do you want to know what I know or what I thought he was?
Well, yeah, we'll start out with what you thought.
3 years ago, I thought he was 4.5.
Yeah.
So when I shot him this year, I thought he was 7.5.
Mm-hmm.
There's no question it's the same deer. He's got the same same characteristics. There's no doubt it's him. So once I butchered him, caped him out, got a good look at his teeth and saw what they looked like, I'm like, maybe I was a little off. So the only way you can tell for sure is to send the tooth in.
Yep.
It goes out to, I believe it's either Minnesota or Wisconsin. Send the tooth out. A few weeks goes by, and I got a call from them. And she's like, I want you to go online and take a look at your score sheet, for your age certificate. I'm like, okay, walk me through it. How do I do this? I don't know. So I get on the computer, and I'm walking through it, and she says, click this, click this, click this. So I did. Next thing you know, I get to this page. She says, okay, click that one. I get to the page, and it pops up. It's 10.5 years old.
Wow.
So
He was 7.5 when you thought he was 4.
Yeah. So I was shocked. Happy too. But I mean, like I said, he was a shooter.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So what did he do from 7.5 rack wise to 10.5?
Not much.
It stayed pretty much the same.
Yeah. I mean, I think maybe he shrunk a little, but not much. It's very similar.
Wow.
Very similar. He had 2 flyers off his G2s when he was 7.5. This year he only had 1 on his left side. But other than that, he didn't change much. He didn't shrink much.
How much did he weigh? Did you weigh him?
Yeah, I think he was 178 dressed, and that was second week of December.
Yep. So he was probably 200.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was pretty
Earlier
pretty
in the
rutted out. Yeah.
So you found out that he lost that property and you had a dandy there. So and then you found out the neighboring property went to state, and so walk us through how you kind of like honed in on a place to hunt on that piece.
All right, so I knew the property. I knew the property line, I should say, and so that's what I headed for. I went right back to the back side of the property that I used to hunt, because I knew where the trails were that went in and out of that state. Well, it wasn't state property at the time, but I knew where the trails were. So that's where I started, and like I said, got a good feel for it. Put some cameras out, and then let it sit for a little while. And it was actually the first week of shotgun season this year. I went back in there to check cameras. It was on a Wednesday, and I'm walking in, and
so all in November you just let it sit.
I was hunting. I had another buck I was after, so that buck ended up getting too much pressure and took off. So I went back into this property. Was walking in to check cameras, and I jumped 3. And they were 3 nice bucks, and one of them, for sure, was a big shooter. He ran up about 500 yards and ran in front of my camera. I'm like, okay, now I see what you look like. I didn't get a good look at him when he was running away, but I knew he was a shooter. So anyway, spent some time looking around, started hunting out of my climber stand, figured out what was happening. And then we had a big storm predicted for the following week. It was on a Saturday. It started raining in the morning, hard rain.
Yeah, that was the day I got my sticks back here. It was pouring rain, windy, right?
Yeah, it was, yes, bad storm. Mm-hmm. So I said to my son, I'm like, this storm's coming. It's going to be really cold next week. I said, I got to get in there and I got to be comfortable because I'm going to sit all day. I think I know what this deer is doing. I said, come in on a Saturday morning, help me put a ladder stand up so I'm comfortable and I can get in there quiet. And he did. He gave up his morning to hunt. We went in there on Saturday, hung the stand. Didn't have to do any shooting lanes, nothing. It was perfect. I told him, I says, I'm staying here until I get him. Monday.
Sleeping here.
Yeah, pretty much. Monday, I'm walking in the woods at 5 o'clock in the morning. Started walking out of the woods at 5:30 that night. It was cold, but I was determined. And I just knew if I put my time in, something would happen. Same thing, actually, that day, too, that Monday, I saw 23 deer. Small bucks, does. There was a lot of activity. And all the years that I had hunted out in this spot, I had never seen more than 2 in a day because there's not a lot of numbers out there.
Well, they'd all been avoiding your private, and they were over in that,
Could
neighboring property.
Could be.
You were stinking the place up.
Yeah, could be. That's been known to happen too. Tuesday, same thing. Got in there at 5 o'clock in the morning, sat all day. I think I saw 6 or 7 deer that day. I saw a small 8-pointer, a spike horn, and some does. But, when you know there's a big one walking around in there, that's what I'm going to wait for.
Makes it easy to pass.
And it's funny because I'm posting this stuff on Facebook. I'm like, I get into my tree in the morning and just say, yep, I'm here. I'll check in at noontime, and everybody was started following me. I was getting thumbs up.
Yeah, I remember seeing
liking
those.
It. Yeah, people were liking it. So okay, well, nobody's complaining. I'll keep doing it. And I remember Wednesday morning I got in, same thing. Said, yep, I'm here. I'll check in at noontime. And I got a text from one of my buddies. He says, today's your day, buddy. I'm like, I hope so. And at 9:30, I look over to my left, and there he was. He was walking broadside. He was 130 yards away. And I didn't know it was that deer. I knew it was a big deer. I knew it was a shooter. And I dropped him in his tracks.
This was shotgun season, right?
Yeah, it was shotgun season. And immediately, I texted my son. He was the first one I texted. It just said BBD. And as soon as I said that, he's calling me. And I'm like, no, don't call me yet. I got stuff to do. And then I sent it to another buddy of mine. Same thing. He's calling me. I'm like, I got to get down. I got to get to this deer. And when I walked up to him, that's when I realized it was that deer.
Yeah.
It was pretty exciting.
And so where does he rank in the deer that you've killed? Is he your number one?
No, he's my number 3 for mass bucks.
Number 3. All right. Yeah. So you've killed a couple good ones. We'll talk about them later too. But so I want to go through. You went in on Saturday, hung a stand. Sunday, can't hunt.
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3 days in a row went in there, right?
Yeah.
So something that I've been talking with a bunch of different guests about. How do you know if it's like? What's your philosophy on going into a place too much, or did you have a good like path to this stand? And
okay.
Tell me about that whole part of it.
That's a big part of my strategy. You got to have good access. You got to not be going in bumping deer out and walking through bedding areas. That is, to me, access is everything. And if I'm not bumping deer and I'm sitting there Monday I'm watching 23 deer. Tuesday I'm watching 6 or 8.
Yeah.
That tells me I'm not bumping anything.
Yeah.
So you learn. You get a feel for if you're bumping deer, you're gonna know. Especially with cell cameras too, because I use a lot of cell cameras, so I wasn't pushing anything out on any of the major runs.
Plus, it's like it was the first three days of shotgun, right?
That was the second week.
That was second weekend.
Yeah. So, luckily, there was nobody else hunting the spot, so I don't know how that happened either, but I found it.
Yeah, maybe not too many people knew it opened up,
Well, that could be.
Yeah.
That could be.
I think it was the first year, right?
Yeah.
So awesome. What a great deer. And then well, let's talk about the one that you were hunting before, that you were focused on, that you said and ended up getting bumped out.
Yeah.
And so is that one that you were on for multiple years too?
2 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's nothing. He's not like a huge scoring deer, but he's a big, mature 8-pointer.
Yeah.
I think he's at least 4.5 years old, probably 5. I'm thinking he's 5,
yeah.
5.5. And he was routine, going by my spots. And I think it was this year of COVID that screwed everything up, because this spot that I had been hunting, I've been in there for 4 years, and it's public property, and I've never seen anybody there in 4 years.
Yeah.
This year, everybody was in there.
Yeah.
And that buck, I know I wasn't bumping him, because I'd be walking in and I'd know where he is. My camera's over there and I'm going this way, so I know I'm not the one bumping him. And then I start getting pictures of him running by my cameras, and he just had enough. And
yeah, he was getting bounced around in there.
He was getting bounced around, and those big bucks don't tolerate that. So there's state property that you can't hunt over in that area, and he just went onto that property. That's what I'm assuming anyway. I know nobody shot him. So
did you find the sheds?
I did not find those sheds, but I found some bigger ones.
I saw. Yeah, you found quite a few sheds. How many sheds did you get this year?
Oh, I'm not sure, like 14 or 16, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the process of looking for his sheds, I found a bigger set of sheds that deer I didn't even know about.
In that same area.
Yeah. So,
yeah. It's interesting. There's always deer you don't know about.
Yeah.
I had some cameras up. I was watching this very small piece that you can't hunt either, and but I ended up killing a buck that bounced off of that property. There's plenty of places you can around it, but this is one little small protected piece where I like to put cameras because they're in there all summer and I watch them grow. And what was I gonna say? I forget what my point was there. Totally lost my train of thought. But they bounce around in there, and oh yeah, I saw at some point there are multiple stands around that place. Come around deer season, I'm going and check my cameras. I see stands up, and I had a cell phone camera in there too, and you would see these big bucks, just like you said, that they're just pushing them around in there, and they're flying, flying by that thing, and then that only takes those guys a couple of times getting pushed like that to escape to another piece of property.
Yeah.
Which actually ended up boding well for me because I was hunting adjacent pieces that you can hunt, and he came right by me.
Good.
But all right, so that buck is going to be one of your bucks this year that you're targeting again,
Definitely,
right? And then what else you got for target? The ones you picked up, you're trying to locate him.
Yeah, definitely. He's my number one.
And do you have cameras out this early?
Oh yeah, I run them all year.
Yeah. That's another thing. It's like some people think, don't throw them out, early because they're not going to be there. So what's your philosophy on that?
Well, I find that too. I mean, just because I'm getting a picture of a big buck right now, it really doesn't mean anything.
Sometimes, but they do. Sometimes they also do go back there.
Well, the reason why I like it is because it's building inventory. I know what's potential is.
Yep.
And, sometimes they do come back. You could have a picture of a deer in July and end up killing them in November, December. Sometimes they do, so I got the cameras. Why let them collect dust in the closet?
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
So I was just writing an article for the blog, and it reminded me of last year where, a lot of people did tell me that. But so this particular spot, right, that tiny spot that you can't hunt where they grow up in the summer. They stay there. It's protected. The does have fawns in there, and the bucks just tons of browse, and they're eating everything in sight. Flowering trees, drop corn in there in the summer. In front of my cameras, and one buck. So there were 3 good ones in there that grew all summer. One of them left in September and didn't come back until May. He just didn't use that at all in the rut. And I had him on cameras a mile away in like every direction from that place. He was checking all the woods.
Yep.
And I had him all over the place. And he was probably the biggest one, big 8-pointer. And then the 9-pointer I ended up killing was in there, and then an almost identical 8, but smaller brow tines was also in there. Those 2 came back and used it all the way through October, November, December. In fact, I went in there checking cameras multiple times in November and December, and I would catch. They'd be in there locked down with a doe, so it'd be their lockdown spot too. So, that's one instance where in the summertime, those pictures, those bucks I watched grow up. They were there. So I think it probably depends on suburbs versus big woods and, things like that. This is a very suburban, piece of woods, and it's just where they feel comfortable. And they've come to learn over the years that no humans go in there, except for me checking my camera.
Yeah, I like hunting. I like hunting the big woods. I like hunting the suburbs too. I got spots in both places.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and I think so. I think like if you're gonna put up a camera in the big woods and you want to put credence to you want to believe they're gonna be back there if you get an early like June or July picture. My thought is we'll put it on an annual scrape or a big scrape that they're using all year round, because then if you get one there in June, there's a good chance they're gonna be there in October, freshen it up.
Yeah,
right?
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
I'm not focused on runs with my cameras right now. I'm looking for those community scrapes, that sort of thing.
Yep. Good. Well, good. I validated that then.
For what it's worth.
For what it's worth. All right. So what are some? So the 2 other bucks that were bigger than this one you got this year. What were their scores, and what year did you get them?
2012, 10-point typical, scored 166 even. And
That's a nice one.
2013, 11-point non-typical with double drop tines. He scored 159 and 7/8.
Wow. Are any of them bow, or are they?
No, one was shotgun, one was muzzleloader.
Yeah.
So
let's go through. Talk about that the double drop tine buck first, and then we'll get to your number one.
That's my favorite. The double drop tine buck is my favorite buck of all time, just because of the effort it took to kill him.
Let's go through it.
That was a situation, a piece of property that I had been hunting for years, and This buck just kind of showed up in November. I didn't know he was there. Started getting pictures of him, and every picture I got of him was blurry at night, and he was like running by my camera. He was running does is what it was. And I'd get a picture, and I'm like, geez, those look like drop tines. Those look like drop tines. And finally, it was December 8th, I got a beautiful daytime picture of him, 8 o'clock in the morning, and he's walking right towards my camera. I actually had 3 really good pictures, and I looked at that camera, and I was like, oh, boy. You're in trouble.
So do you run your cameras on picture mode versus video or no?
Yeah, I do both.
Yeah.
I'm doing both now. Back then it was just pictures.
Yeah.
So, but I got the pictures and I fell in love with this deer. He's got a real wide, heavy frame and dark chocolate. So that was on December 8th, and I ended up killing him December 18th. And you can go back and look at 2000, and that was 2013. What the weather was then.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. For people who don't know, you can go look up weather, from all the days past in history. I think it's wonderground.com or something.
Yeah, where I was hunting, it was like the high during the day was 8 degrees. And that was the same thing. I was sitting all day. From daylight
Those cold days are the big buck killing days.
Yeah, they are. That's my favorite time to hunt. And I was doing the same thing. But I was moving with him because I'd get pictures of him over here, so I'd go there, get pictures of him on the other side, so I'd go there because I had like 27 stands set up on this private property. So
How many acres was it?
380.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was I'll never forget it because it was December 18th I killed him. So on the night of December 17th we got fresh snow. And I had just had enough of my teeth chattering. I was hurting. My body physically couldn't take it, just being tense from being cold all day, every day. I said to my son, I said, we got this fresh snow. I said, he was at school. I said, I'm going after him in the morning. He says, we got this snow, I'm going to track him. So I waited till daylight to go out, and I went to where I thought he'd be. Couldn't find his track. And he had a very distinct track. Number one, he was huge, but he also had a crooked toe, so I could see his track.
Yep.
And after all that time, I didn't even put heavy clothes on that day because I knew I was going to be after him. I was going to be moving. I got on his track finally at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I killed him at 2:15.
It was a fresh track.
Yeah, it was a fresh track.
Was he in his bed?
No, he was actually feeding. He had his head down. He was pawing through looking for tea-berries. He was eating tea-berries. And there was 2 deer. They were when I spotted him, he was 40 yards away with his head in the snow. By then, it was probably 14 inches of snow on the ground. So his eyes were blocked by the snow. He couldn't see me.
Yeah.
And I looked at him with the muzzle loader. I looked at him through the scope, and I recognized the kicker he had. I saw one of the drop tines. I'm like, that's him. That's all I need. Pow, I pulled the trigger, and we got this big cloud of blue smoke. And I can't see nothing. There's no wind that day. Finally, I kind of move off to the left about 10 feet to look, and here comes this deer running right at me, and it's a little 6-pointer. And I literally had to jump out of the way so it didn't run me over. And the first thought that goes through my mind was, oh no, I shot the wrong deer. And I start having a heart attack. And then I look up and I see the big one. He just does a horseshoe out in front of me, gets to about maybe 50 yards and puts his nose in the air and fell over.
Oh, yes. I was going to say, did you reload? No.
I didn't have time. And I'll tell you, that was incredible after the amount of time and effort I had put into that deer and all the cold shivering in the tree stand. It was pretty satisfying.
So, but it was 10 days, right, from the picture to killing him?
Yeah.
And were you in there every day?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but like I said, back then I was hunting different stands almost every day too because he was moving. He was all he was doing was feeding. It was with that weather. Wasn't really interested in the does. He wasn't following them. He just wanted to fill his belly.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably getting to the... I mean, there's definitely a few hot does running around, late ones, but...
Yeah, he was...
What do you weigh?
I think he was 186, and he was... When I walked up to him and looked at him, I swore he was 240. But once I got him out, I mean, the skin was just hanging off his body.
Yeah.
He was rutted out so bad.
No fat?
None. No.
I want to give a quick shout out to Wild Edge Inc. These guys are out of Connecticut. They make a climbing system for mobile hunters. They've got a proprietary step ladder climbing system to use instead of climbing sticks, which a lot of folks carry with them. It's really slick. You got to check them out, www.wildedgeinc.com. They also have saddles and platforms and everything you need to become a more mobile hunter and add that to your repertoire. So I went to their demo a couple of weeks ago down in Connecticut. They're a bunch of great guys. They showed me how to use the saddle, and I came home with one. I'm going to be using it this summer and practicing with it, and hopefully getting up into a couple of trees this fall when the scenario calls for me being mobile, and hopefully we'll get a deer out of one. But go check them out, www.wildedgeinc.com. Great company, Northeast based, right in Connecticut. Give them a shot.
He was a good deer.
Beautiful. And then, so do you track often, or just when the situation calls for it,
when
you're getting frustrated?
Well,
I gotta go track.
Depends on situation. It depends on. I like, if I'm gonna track, I want fresh snow.
Yeah.
I'm not like one of the Benoit guys that can go do it every year. That's not me. I wish I could. I'm not that good. So I want fresh snow. And I really like both aspects. I like the tracking, but I love watching a deer walk around doing its natural thing. Mm-hmm. I'm not the type of guy that's going to shoot at a flag. If I jump a deer, I don't care how big his rack is, I'm not going to throw lead at him just because. So I like to make sure my shots are good and all that.
Yeah, that's a common thing with the trackers. Just you got the pump action, and you let as many fly as you can, and you miss a lot, right? Yeah. But yep, Hal Blood and the Big Woods Bucks guys and the Benoit's guys, they live and breathe that stuff.
Yeah, and they're good at it. They're really good at it.
I really do. I want to get into it. I mean, I grew up hunting big wood stuff, but not tracking, just, hunting on the ground and sitting at the base of a tree, and then moved down here and picked up, bow hunting 3 or 4 years ago now, and hunting suburbs mostly now because it's closer to home. Mm-hmm. But I love getting out into the big woods, and hopefully I'll get up to Maine and try some tracking this year too. But I was just curious if you employed that a lot or not. It seems like you get a lot of deer muzzleloader or late season. You get December deer.
Late season is my favorite time to hunt. Yeah. Once a lot of people love the rut. I'm not crazy about it. That peak November rut, every deer that I've been after, they vanish. Yeah. They're off chasing the does on the other side of the road or something like that, and I just can't pattern them. But once the rut's slowing down and they get into a feeding pattern, that's when I can get them.
Yeah, I've heard that. It's a common theme too. It must be the really big mature bucks, and some people will say that they kind of just sit back and wait. The does kind of go to them. They don't have to work for it. It's like the king of the town. In a small town, like every girl's after him, right? He doesn't have to do the work, but you got the young bucks coming up through, and they gotta go pound the pavement, but. Yeah. Those big bucks, for whatever reason, it just doesn't seem like they have to do as much work in the peak rut.
Yeah, that peak rut. I mean, I pass a lot of small bucks. I mean, that's what I see. I very rarely see a big monster buck that I want to shoot in November. I mean, I have shot a few, but most of my big ones are December.
That's interesting. So, what about early season? Are you finding, because they're still kind of on their food pattern too?
I do like
big bucks there too.
I do like it early. Yeah, I've shot some big ones in early part of October. I do like that, but that's all you gotta get in there, do your preseason scouting, and be ready for opening day to make that happen. Because every day, to me, once opening day starts, every day after that, it's gonna get harder and harder.
Yeah, because the pressure's building.
Building, and they're getting more testosterone, getting geared up for the rut, and
so where's your so give me an ideal stand location, or like what's your spot for opening day, early season October?
Acorns.
What do you have to see? Like good acorns?
I look for acorns, and I look for buck sign. But
scrapes will be there. So do you hunt a scrape?
I don't really spend a lot of time on that unless I have a camera on it and it's a really active scrape. And I just don't seem to get that time of year. Not for another couple weeks after the season progresses, and then making more scrapes at night and so forth. So I'm not really a big scrape hunter early in the season. Mm-hmm. It's more food, while they're still on that pattern. I like hunting over food.
Yeah, last year I just walked into this one spot, edge of a swamp, and acorns everywhere, probably 50 oak trees. And it was ripped up with scrapes, and early, like late September, you started seeing scrapes everywhere. And then early October. So I posted up there and hunted there most of the season. And I saw bucks almost every sit, even early season. Some would come in, I shot at one making a scrape and missed it. And I don't know. That's the first time I've ever seen that kind of sign and that prevalent of sign. That this year I'm going to continue. I think I'll try to find a scrape in food.
Yeah.
For the opening opening day.
Yeah, if you can do that for sure.
Yeah, like around the acorn, some kind of a good scrape, you know.
The acorns are funny too, because some years,
none.
and when there's none, that's no good. And then other years when there's tons of them, that's no good either.
Yeah,
because
they're all over the woods.
They don't have to move to go get them.
Mm-hmm.
So a year where they're spotty, that's the year I like.
For you, where you hunt, was it spotty last year, or were they all over?
No, they were spotty.
Okay, here they were all over.
Yeah. Well, I had spots, depending on which zone I was hunting. One zone had a lot of acorns, and the other zone didn't. So yeah, it varies. And I hear, I talk to other guys, and some guys had none, some guys were loaded. So I don't know how nature works like that.
Yeah. But. Are you a morning or evening if you had to choose one? Morning guy or an evening guy for hunting?
Early season, evening. Definitely. And then, I hunt morning and afternoon pretty much every day, but I prefer evening in the early season, and then as the season goes on, more all day.
Evening because you know they're going to be bedded during the day, and you can kind of go set up on the food without disturbing them.
Yeah. That, like I said before, access is key. I don't want to be bumping deer. So if I don't want to get too close in the morning and then bump them as I'm walking out at noontime or whatever, you know what I mean? It depends on the spot, depends on the access.
If you're sitting in your stand at night and you got deer all around you, do you wait until you hear them gone? Mm. that can be a long time sometimes, can't it?
I've done crazy things to try to scare them away. I've been up in my tree howling like a coyote to try to get them to run away, and they don't move. Sometimes I've had to call my son, hey, come walking in the woods and just, bump these deer so that I can get down and go home. And that was a few years ago he was doing that, but most of the time I just wait them out. I don't want them to know I'm there. It doesn't matter if it's a spike horn or a doe. I don't care, because I don't want them to be walking by the next day and look up at me.
Yeah. Right.
So I don't want any deer to know I'm there.
What do you do to make your your approach into the stand? Are there some spots where you rake a path if it's not too far? Because I do that behind my house sometimes.
Yeah, it depends. I've got spots that I consider Old Faithful, and
John Patrick put sponges on his bottom of his shoes.
He had me doing it last year.
Did you try it?
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah,
it's not perfect, but it definitely calms down the noise. And as a matter of fact, I was doing it when I shot that buck. A couple days before that, it got crunchy, and it did help.
So if you guys haven't heard that, you tape a sponge around to the bottom of your boot, like a big old, industrial sponge.
Yeah, it's like 4 inches thick, and you look like a major goofball going through the woods. You don't want anybody to see you, but it definitely muffles the sound when you're on real crunchy, icy snow, stuff like that.
You put any scent in the bottom of your boots?
I never use scent.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
No cover scent?
Nothing.
So you do stink up places.
I try not to. I won't go in the woods without showering.
You play the wind.
I play the wind.
Yeah.
I will not go in the woods without showering.
Shower
being scent free.
Scentless soap.
All the scent lock closed, washing my clothes. Nobody touches my clothes.
Yeah.
I take the washing machine apart in September and degrease it and get all the soaps come out of it.
All right.
I do all the laundry in the house for the whole hunting season.
You do a ton of prep so you don't have to use the scents.
I've had too many situations where I couldn't figure out what happened when I was using scents, and since I stopped doing it, it just doesn't seem to be an issue anymore.
Yeah.
If a deer's going to smell you, he's going to smell you. I'm not saying I never get smelled, but I've tried it all over the years. I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
I never found anything that I was happy with, though. Just being clean, though.
Yeah, last year a couple times, but they're all small. But I, put doe and heat on my boots and got in my stand, and at first light there's either a doe or a spike or a small buck coming in, right on it. But yeah, it's the small deer. I haven't had a big one do that.
Well, that's the thing. I'm not after those. And when I was using scent, yes, I would see the small bucks. I'd see the spikes. The 4-point is 1.5, 2.5-year-old deer. Yeah, I would see a few deer I could contribute to using the scents, but it never worked on a big one with me.
So what about all right, we covered scents. What about calling and rattling? You do both of those?
I do calling. I do grunts. I do like to use a grunt call. I will occasionally rattle, and a lot of that deals with my buddies, because during the season we're talking every day. And if this guy tells me, hey, I
rattled one in.
I just rattled one in and it's working, and then I talk to another buddy and same thing. Like, okay, I'm going to try that tomorrow. You know what I mean? Because that's a timing issue. You gotta have that right. So as a rule, I don't rattle a lot, but I will if it's working at that time.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, last year I had a couple small bucks in front of me, and I like to use that because I'm not going to shoot them, and I like to use to, see what I can do to manipulate them.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried grunting multiple times on this one, like, little 6-pointer, and he heard it, but didn't pay any attention. He didn't give a shit about it. Kept going. I busted out the rattled, and he immediately turned and looked and started coming towards me. So, yeah, I like to experiment.
It's a great way to learn. It sure is, and especially when you can see the deer and see how they react to it.
If you know they're by themselves and there's not a big buck with them somewhere.
Play with them. Yeah, get to learn to see how they react to stuff. That's huge. If somebody who's starting out new in hunting, do that. You'll learn a lot. You'll learn what works and what doesn't work too. So.
Have you ever done a snort wheeze? Because that's one thing I played with 2 years ago too, and it was awesome. It was started to work.
I've done it 2 or 3 times with my own voice, and 2 or 3 times the deer put their tails up and ran away. So I'm not doing it right.
I try it after I see them run away. And,
okay.
They'll run away and they'll stop and look back.
Yeah.
When they do that, that's when I've done it, and then they start stiff-legged and coming back.
Yeah,
and,
when I've done it is when, the grunt call didn't work. They're walking away. I got my bow in my hand, and they're 60 yards, and they're going away. And I know if they get over that hill, I'm never going to see them again.
Yeah.
That's when I've tried it in situations like that, and every time I've scared them away.
Pull out all the stops. But
right.
Yeah.
It's like throwing it in at the end, What have you got to lose at that point?
Yep. And so, again, it was mostly small bucks. I think I've tried it 3 times, and 2 times, all 3 times, it did get them to come closer again. After they bounded away and then stopped, and I could see that they were, trying to check out what it was. 2 small bucks came pretty close. Like, they came in back to within, 20 yards, and probably could have, with a bow, killed them, and with a gun, no problem. And then in rifle or shotgun or muzzleloader, whatever you're using, if it's a big buck, and you just get them to even stop doing that, or take a couple of steps, that can mean the difference, maybe.
Well, the big one I shot last year, I stopped him with a grunt call.
Yep.
He was walking when I saw him, and I didn't have much of a window. He was in a lane that was probably 20 yards wide at 130 yards away. It don't take him long to get through that. And
Yep.
I was able to stop him with the grunt call. That's pretty the only reason I killed him.
Yep. So you use the grunt, not a mouth grunt?
Yeah, that was a real grunt call, yeah.
Because a lot of people just go, bat!
I've done that too, and I do it a
Or
lot.
even whistle or something,
I do that almost every time when I'm bow hunting. If I got a walking buck, I'll get him to stop, and that usually works.
So how important is the wind and looking at the weather and what the wind's going to be doing that day for you going into your stand?
It's everything, because like I've said a couple times, it's approach, your access is key to everything. If you're going to be pushing deer out and you're going to be sitting there and the wind's going to be wrong, why sit there?
So last year, that big one you killed, those 3 days you went in a row, was the wind doing the same thing?
It was perfect every day.
Yeah,
absolutely perfect every day.
And if you feel it switching up midday, you're going to get climb down and get out of there?
It depends. Sometimes yes. If it's totally wrong, yes. But if it's swirling, sometimes no, because...
Yeah, swirling can almost be as good as like a steady wind.
Yeah, because sometimes they can't tell where it's coming from either,
Yeah.
So steady wind that changes dramatically and it's going in the wrong direction. Yeah, I'll get out of there and find another stand for the rest of the day. Yeah, wind is huge. You're not going to fool you can fool their eyes and their ears, but you're not going to fool their nose.
Yeah. So how much do you hunt on the ground? Or do you?
Hardly ever.
Unless
I'm
tracking.
Yeah, if I'm not tracking, I'm in a tree.
Yeah. And you use a climber most of the time, or no, that's just your...
I've got, I use climbers, I got ladders, I got lock-ons. Depends on the property, if I can use lock-on stands and so forth. So I've got an arsenal of all kinds of stands.
You ever use the tripod?
Tripod? No, I haven't. I don't have one of those.
I bought one of those last year because there was a spot that I wanted to... there's no mature trees, but I wanted to get a spot in there amongst the brush and stuff, and those young trees.
Yeah. I could see an application for it. I just don't have one.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you got to have that right. It's all like 10-year-old and under trees, and nothing you can put a stand in.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to get above it, right?
Yeah, I still got to move that because I never even hunted in it. And they're freaking heavy.
Yeah, I know.
This episode is brought to you by Heron Hill Winery, the official winery of the Hunt Suburbia podcast. Go to www.heronhill.com and use code HS5 for an additional 5% off at checkout. Now, they already have some great volume discounts on there. If you buy 3 bottles, you're going to get 5% off. If you buy 6 bottles, you get 10% off. If you buy 12, you're going to get 15% off. So if you add the 5% extra you get from using code HS5, you get 20% off plus free shipping for a case. HS5 is for first-time buyers. If you're a repeat buyer, you've supported in the past, just get on there and use those volume discounts. Get the wine delivered right to your door. Enjoy a nice glass of wine while you listen to this podcast. There's a lot of great information. And support us. Support the sponsors. We really appreciate it. HeronHill.com. Use code HS5 for an additional 5%, or just enjoy their volume discounts. I talk about it all the time. One thing that is awesome about hunting is that there's so many different ways that you can hunt. You can always keep your hunt fresh by using different weapons or hunting in different seasons. Some state has an early season, some have a late season. You can hunt a buck here and a doe there and a Saturday here and a Sunday there. Well, one of the easiest ways to change up your hunt, if you haven't got into muzzleloader hunting yet, muzzleloader is a great way to extend your season. In New Hampshire, it's early, before the rifle season, before the bow season. In Vermont, it's late, it's at the end. But muzzleloader hunting is awesome. And so I'm super excited to announce a partnership with Woodman Arms muzzleloader. This muzzleloader actually shoots like a rifle too. And the coolest part about Woodman Arms is they recommend that you not clean your gun. You don't need to clean this thing. If you're using Blackhorn 209 powder, you don't need to clean it. Yeah. Now muzzleloaders are the messiest guns out there. You're shooting powder that's either loosely packed or in a pellet, and just imagine lighting that thing on fire in there. It's an extremely messy thing, but with the Woodman Arms, the way they build it, you don't need to clean that muzzleloader. That's number one selling point in the world. But once you hold this thing, it feels like a rifle. It just feels right in your hands. It's got a hammerless action, so there's absolutely no hammer on the gun. It's got a crossbolt safety. It feels like you're carrying your 7600 through the woods. I'm extremely excited about this partnership. They're making me a gun right now. Throughout the summer as I'm shooting it and into the fall and getting ready, I'll report back on how it shoots, but you don't have to look any further than all the reviews and all the really great hunters in the Northeast and across the country. Really, they're selling all over the country because they're the best muzzleloader in the country. Look at what everybody else is saying about this gun. That's enough for me to endorse it without ever shooting one, but I can't wait to shoot one and follow up with you guys and tell you how it is this summer, this fall. For now, go to woodmanarms.com. Check them out. You can build your own custom gun right there. Call Timmy Bolduc, who was on this podcast and is a good friend of mine, and he'll tell you anything that you need to know about the gun. Woodman Arms, America's most accurate and dependable muzzleloader on the market, handcrafted in New Hampshire. Go to woodmanarms.com and start building your gun today. What else? You do mock scrapes at all? You ever mess with mock scrapes?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Even no scent though. Do you pee in it or?
No, I don't. I just wanted something visual. It depends on the situation. If I got deer walking by my area and there's not a scrape there, and something to get their attention as they're walking by.
Because they do see that big open dirt.
That's right. They're going to be looking at that, and even if there's no scent in it, they're going to smell the dirt.
Yeah.
It's something for them to check out. They're curious animals.
Yep.
So if they put their nose down and sniff that gives me time to draw my bow sometimes, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So, yeah, if there's not a scrape in that area, I'll make one.
Yep.
It doesn't have to have scent in it.
Awesome. So what else? How does it, when do you move your cameras? I mean, I'm sure there's some trees you got a camera on constantly, right? The ones that are on the annual scrapes, and you don't got to move those. But how do you hone in as you're getting closer? Do you move some that are kind of dead, not getting much activity, and move them somewhere else?
I do. I move cameras. Like I said, that new set of sheds that I just found this spring, I set up a whole bunch of cameras in a different area where I found those sheds, and so yeah, I'll move them. Most of the times, I just buy more. because you can never have too many cell cams as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, I do. I move them around if I got a camera that's not producing.
The cams are one thing, and then it's the batteries. Like you got to have a battery dealer these days. Somebody that can get you. You buy hundreds of pounds of batteries over the season.
But I don't set up on food. I don't put the corn out and stuff. So it's not like I'm gonna get a picture of a deer that's standing there for 20 minutes and eating up 300 pictures. You know what I mean? I want to see them doing what comes natural to them.
Yeah.
I don't want to force them in.
So what do you say to somebody brand new to hunting? Because we got a lot of guys that listen to this because they're new and they just want to pick up tips here and there. Well, what's the number one thing they gotta do to be successful? Like if you give them one, leave them with one thing. What is it?
Pick the brains of guys that know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Talk to people.
Yeah.
Listen to podcasts like this. I learned from reading magazines. Back when it was my turn to start hunting. That's how I learned. It was reading North American Whitetail and Deer hunting and things like that. Nowadays, everything's electronic, so you can do it that way. My father taught me how to hunt in Vermont, and his idea of hunting was you get yourself on a rock somewhere where you can see as far as you can see, and you spend the day there.
Yeah.
We hunted for a week, a year.
Mm-hmm.
There was no preseason scouting. There was no nothing, and damn it if he didn't get a deer every year.
Similar to my experience. So your dad grew up in Vermont, or did
No,
you?
No, he grew up in Massachusetts, but we hunted Vermont. That's where I started. That's where I shot my first deer. We hunted Vermont, we hunted Maine, and we hunted Massachusetts.
So you were probably like hunting southern Vermont, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So your dad taught you, and you have how many kids you got?
I have a son and a daughter.
Yep. And are they both hunting, or?
My daughter hunted turkeys a few times. She shot some turkeys, but never really fell in love with it. But my son Zach, on the other hand, I
think he's pretty good too, right?
Yeah, he's pretty good. he's doing damn good. Makes me proud every year.
Yeah, I'll have to have him on the podcast too.
Yeah, he's got some really nice bucks, and a couple of years ago, I kind of pushed him to like spread your wings, go do your own thing. I just sat him in my stands for years, and damn, he killed a lot of deer. And I'm like, okay, now you take what I've taught you and go do it on your own.
Branch out a bit.
And now he's shooting big bucks on his own with the bow in spots that he finds and he scouts, and he's doing all the work, and I couldn't be prouder.
How old is he?
27.
Yep. Yeah, he's right in his prime now too, and you got next 20 years of even 30 years.
Yeah.
Awesome buck time.
Yeah, and he's already killed 25 deer or something like that.
So what's your memory of his first deer? Were you there when he killed his first deer?
I videoed it.
Yeah. So tell me about that.
I see when I
that's always a big thing.
When I grew up hunting in Massachusetts, that's where I started. Massachusetts and Vermont, we didn't see a lot of deer, and I watched a lot of people get into hunting, and they weren't seeing deer, and after a year or two, they're losing interest. And I'm like, I don't want that to happen with him. I said, I'm not going to take him out to Illinois and let him shoot a 200-inch deer on a ranch. That's not hunting either.
Oh, because then he could get out of it for another reason.
Yeah, so I booked a trip down to Carolina Woods and Waters down in North Carolina for him. He was 14, maybe 15. Yeah, he was 15. And I took him down there. We did a week down there, and he shot. His first deer he ever shot. I was in the blind with him, and a 8-pointer came out, and he blasted it. So that was his first year, and
was he all pumped up?
Oh yeah,
yeah. Adrenaline was going.
Yeah. I think mine was going more that day.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he's done really well.
That's great. Yeah, I got my buddy Scotland his first deer last year. We've been fishing buddies, our whole lives, but he'd never hunted. And Vermont, brought him to Vermont to deer camp. We got an old deer camp there. It's been there since 1950, and he was able to get him. I was able to get him a little 6-pointer, and the same thing. My adrenaline was pumping, and oh my God, the celebration after that. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, there's nothing like it.
It's never too late to start hunting. I mean, he was 32 years old.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, my father didn't even start till he was 29. So yeah, anybody can get into it at any time.
Yep. And pretty soon, your son will probably be teaching his son.
I hope so. I hope I get a chance to help too with that too.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he's already talked about it. He wants.
Does he have kids or not?
No, but they're looking to start soon.
Yeah.
So
cool.
That's exciting.
And now let's get to your number one buck. We haven't told that story yet. I want to hear about that one.
Well, that's why it's not my favorite, because I really got lucky with that one.
Yeah, well, sometimes you do.
Yeah, I really got lucky with that one, but it's kind of an interesting story because where I discovered that deer was at a camera that's about 200 yards from the back door of my house. And I got a picture of him on September 9th, and I won't forget that because that's my birthday. And I checked that camera, and I was like, oh, my God, this deer is huge. And
And he's close.
didn't know anything about him, and he's in my backyard. So,
Yeah.
of course, I flood the area with cameras and never got another picture of him. He disappeared. Didn't know anything about him. So I'm like, okay, well, I don't know where he is. So that's it. I was still hunting that big piece of private property on the other side of town. And it was about middle of November.
Yeah, this was the year after your double drop, right?
It was a year before.
Oh, year before, yeah.
Yeah. So it was, I don't know, sometime around the 1st of November, I got a picture of him over there. And there was no question. He's got a very unique rack. I can't believe it. He went from my house to 3.5 miles away on the other side of town, and he's in my spot.
Yeah.
So I tried, I hunted when I had a week of bow season. I was after him, and I wasn't getting pictures of him. And then gun season rolled around, and I think I got a picture of him like the day before gun season opened that Sunday. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to set up in this particular spot, and nothing. The conditions were good. I just wasn't seeing deer. I wasn't seeing does. I wasn't seeing anything. So I hunted till about 10 o'clock that day, and I got down. I'm like, I'm going to go down to the creek, and I'm going to walk up the brook, and I got a couple of cameras up there. I want to see, maybe he's up there. So I had a gun. It was opening day of shotgun season. And when I say I'm going to check a camera, I'm still hunting my way there.
Yeah, of course.
I'm going along the brook, and doe gets off to my right, and mountain laurel takes off. Like, oh, damn, okay. And then he just stood up. He was laying there with her, and he was just stood up and watched her run away. And I didn't know it was that particular buck, but I saw the size of the frame, and I'm like, oh, that's a shooter. And then I shot him. He went about 20 yards, and I couldn't believe it when I walked up to him that it was actually him.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a lot of history with him. I didn't have a lot of time spent on him. So, I got lucky with him.
Yeah.
But I'll take it.
Every hunter's going to get lucky.
Yeah.
And it also gives hope to the beginning hunters who they could use a little luck in the beginning.
Oh, it
right?
can happen. I mean,
Yep.
every year you hear about these guys that have gone out for the first day and they shoot a 200.
Yeah,
inch
wasn't
buck,
there was a
200
kid
pound
last
buck.
year that I wanted to get on the podcast. I mean, we'll still try to find him. It was his first year hunting, I think, and he killed 2 really nice bucks in the same day with his bow.
Yeah, it happens.
Same stand, same day.
It happens, yeah.
Yeah, his first 2 bucks were nice ones.
Yeah. Hopefully he doesn't go another 30 years in between,
Well,
because that can happen too.
Yep. And that's how you can get discouraged. Too.
Yeah.
Another 10, not even seeing a buck again. You
Yeah.
know? But mountain. You mentioned mountain laurel. How important? Like a few guys have told me, like that's the key. Find some mountain laurel, and nobody wants to go into the mountain laurel, so the bucks go in there, and that's where you can find some corkers.
Yeah. It's the harder it is to hunt, the more the big bucks like it.
Yep. Whether it's a thick swamp or
Yeah, thick swamps. Sometimes, for me, they're few and far between where I am, and the ones that are there, I can't even get into because the water's too deep.
Mm-hmm.
You try to hunt the edges and so forth, and runs going in and out of them. But there's more mountain laurel at one of my other spots, and that's where they want to be. When I see deer, they're in the mountain laurel. I'm up in my tree and I'm watching them walk through it. They love it. They're comfortable in there. They bed in it.
explain to a rookie who doesn't know what that is. I mean, they can Google it, but what does it look like?
Mountain laurel?
Is it a thorny bush? Is it?
No, it's not thorny, but it's got really stiff stocky branches, and they're not trees. They're more of a bush.
You can grow real thick.
Grows really thick, and sometimes you wonder how a field mouse can get through it, but the deer run right through it like it's not even there. And anybody who's spent any time in it can know you're gonna. A lot of times you're gonna come out with scratched face, and it's tough. It's tough to get through. And again, that's why the bucks love it. They just feel comfortable in there.
You find sheds in there?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not as many as I'd like to. I'm sure I walk by a lot of sheds in mountain laurel. That's the thing with mountain laurel, is that it's so thick that you can walk by a set of sheds that are 2 feet from your boots and you just don't see them.
Mm-hmm.
So this one particular spot where I shot the big one last year, some of the mountain laurel in that area is Well, I got a 16-foot ladder stand there, and it comes right to the armrest
Oh, wow.
of the stand. That's how big it is.
Yeah.
It's stuff that's probably been there for 100 years.
Oh, yeah. How many bucks have grown up and died in that without getting killed?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cool. So get out there, find the hardest to get into stuff. I mean, if you do, it just makes sense logically, right? You want to get the biggest bucks. You gotta go where other people don't want to go.
Yeah, usually they don't come easy. You gotta go after them. You gotta work for them.
Yeah. Well, Jim, this was awesome, man. I think that was great. Is there anything else you want to touch on, or?
Whatever you want to talk about, it's fine with me.
What do you do? Oh, let's talk about dragon, because it's something that people don't know what they're getting into sometimes. And I had a buddy, you get something that's 500 yards off the road, and they're like, that's the longest drag ever. But if you grow up hunting in Vermont, like I did, and you've got some deer up there, dragon's part of it. And it's actually like, I love the drag. The harder the drag, it's almost like more rewarding in the end, right?
Yeah, I thought that same way for a long time, until you hit about 45.
Yeah.
And like now I call for help.
I was going to say, but that's right around the time your kid turns about 20 and is in prime shape to drag for you.
My son can drag deer like a mule, and he loves doing it too. He'll stop what he's doing and come help me. So, and it was funny, a couple of years ago he shot 2 nice bucks with his bow on the same day, the same afternoon. And he called me up. He says, I got my 2 top bucks down. I'm like, he's like,
and I'm dragging both of them.
He's like, they're dead. They're 5 yards apart, and I'm a mile and a half in the woods. Come help me. So I couldn't get there fast enough.
Wow, so he got them the same day?
Oh yeah, it was bang bang, two arrows, and he was done.
October, November.
That was I think it was right around the first week of November, if I remember right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. They were traveling together. Those bucks?
Yeah. Those are his 2 top bucks, and he killed them both.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Nowadays, at 53 years old, if I can call for help, I will.
Couple beers in the backpack and take your time.
Yeah.
That's the one advantage about hunting in the morning. You get them. You got all day to get them out.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's still it's a lot of work the older you get. Like the one I shot last year, the deep snow. It's a long way in, long way out, and it's rough terrain. Yeah, I called for help right away.
Some guys like to carry them out. Even 200 pounders.
Oh, I did that when I was 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Throw 'em around the shoulders.
I did that once. My father had pictures of me carrying an 8-pointer out on my back years ago, and then I used the cart for a few years. Actually, quite a few years, probably 10 years. I used that, the deer cart, and then I went to a jet sled, and to me that works best now. I won't leave house, to go hunting without the jet sled in the truck.
For some reason, both those things feel like they're harder sometimes than just dragging a deer on its natural fur over the.
Well, from what I've seen, the jet sled's the way to go. And a lot of times too, I mean, if I'm shooting a buck, it's usually something I want to mount, and I don't want the tape getting all torn up.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Especially with going through the mountain laurel, you can destroy it. You can destroy a cape in 100 yards.
Yep.
So
that's true too, man. Yeah, because I got both my bucks mounted last year because I'd never really killed big bucks, and they were big to me, and I got them both mounted. But I think both of them did have some because I just like I do in Vermont, just drag them right through the woods and no sled. But yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I've done it pretty much any way you can do it. That's the way it's going now. So, and the other thing too with a jet sled, 2 guys can pull on the rope. So if Zach comes in to help me, we can both pull.
Yeah.
So that's nice too.
Yeah. Yep, my buddy Chris helped me with a buck a few years ago like that. Yeah, super helpful.
Mm-hmm.
What else are you doing in the summertime to prepare yourself? Like now,
right now,
months out to the season.
Right now, I'm taking what time I can get in the woods and clearing paths.
Yeah.
Like going in with an axe and clearing the logs, the stuff that's in the way that's going to cause me to make a noise as I'm walking in the dark in the morning, or even walking out at night. I don't want any deer to know I'm there, so I'm clearing paths.
That's super helpful too, because just a few weeks ago, and I put a few cameras out in a new spot, and it was like hell getting in there.
Mm-hmm.
Not even thinking about making it thinking about a little bit making it easier for when I want to hunt there, but just getting ticks out of the way and spider webs and shit and prickers that were all hanging over. Like just went in there with those shears there.
Yep.
And clear spot.
I got one of those weed whips. It kind of looks like a golf club that you swing to cut the weeds, and I'll do that too, so that when I'm walking in and out, I don't want to be brushing up against anything.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to. I'm not leaving scent behind.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing this time of year.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit. Go back to the scent because you're so particular about it. So you use scent lock bags, and do you wash your clothes after every sit, or
Not after every sit, but I will use the ozone box after every sit. Do that every night. I'll use that. So yeah, I don't wash it every night because I don't want to ruin the carbon.
so you find the ozone works?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Since I started using it, I've had better luck for sure, and I swear by that. Keep it clean. I mean, I'll scent kill my seats in my truck and all that, and like where I shot that big one last year, it was a long walk in. I was basically walking into the stand in my underwear because I didn't want to be soaking wet with sweat by the time I got there and get dressed at the tree, but carrying all my stuff in the scent lock tote, so not leaving anything behind.
And then when you're driving there, are you driving in your long johns or something? And then getting your old,
I was then, yeah. Or even throwing on a pair of clean sweatpants to drive there and just take them off when I get out of the truck. So
Yeah.
I mean, I got long johns. That's not like I'm in my tighty whities, but
yeah.
yeah.
But your clothes you're wearing over that are scent lock, so it holds in whatever scent you were building up on the way over there, right?
Yeah. And I'm trying something new this year after freezing so much last year. It was cold again. I'm getting older. I invested in some Sitka gear. So I'm looking forward to using that this year.
Yeah.
Hopefully be a little warmer.
Yeah, people love that
Yeah,
stuff.
that's what I've heard.
The old-time Vermonters used to sit in their sleeping bags.
Yeah.
Goose down bags.
Yeah. The Johnson wools.
Yeah. And the Johnson wools. I love my wool. I wear wool, even bow hunting. Both deer I killed last year, I was wearing black and green checkers.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. A lot of deer have been shot with people wearing that stuff.
Yeah. Did you get one buck last year? Or did you get?
I got one last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was holding out for another one that I ended up not getting, so I'd rather eat a tag than shoot a little one.
Yeah. Yeah.
He'll be there next year.
Yeah, you're growing. I'm learning that more and more too. Again, like Vermont, you shoot what comes by because there were so many hunters around, and moving down here, it's much different, especially getting cameras, within 20-mile radius all over the place. You start to learn the bucks, and it's nice to see them get from 1 year to 2 years to 3 years.
Absolutely. And when I know what's in the area, because my cameras tell me what's in the area, it makes it real easy to pass those little ones. I can see something I don't want to shoot, and I have no trouble passing it.
Yeah.
That's gone. It took me a few years to get over that because I used to kill everything. I think most guys go through that phase, but I'm over it now.
You ever had a buck, a young buck come through, but you're like, oh, I know who his dad is, or his lineage because of just some defining characteristic? Because that happened to me. I've been watching this. Last year he was a really big spike horn. It was like 13 inches curling around, and I was like, I can't wait to see what he looks like, next year, which is this year. Mm-hmm. And this year I see he's branching out. He's already got six points, and I don't know. He's probably going to be like a little 8-pointer, but really nice potential. And when he turns to the side, he's got this downturned snout. It's this distinct downturned snout that I had on one of the biggest bucks I had on camera last year, which ended up getting killed. That I called Caesar, and I'm calling this one Little Caesar because I know it's got to be his. Got to be his kid.
Got to be his kid.
It's got that downturned snout.
Yeah. I've seen killed bucks that definitely had the same characteristics. I can't say for sure if they were offspring or not, but the genetics were very, very similar.
The racks can tell the story at some point.
Yeah,
too.
sometimes they can. Yeah.
So.
I like watching. Like there's a deer that I'm watching now. He'll be 4.5 this year. He's a 6-pointer. He's always been a 6-pointer. I think he always will be.
Was he getting bigger 6?
He grows like 3 inches a year. But it's just so much fun to watch him grow. I'm not going to kill him, but just to watch him grow is fun.
You might kill him when he turns 8.
Well, that could be. I mean,
he's a super impressive 6.
Once they get to a certain age, they're not off limits anymore. I like to shoot a mature buck. So, but even the way he's going right now, he's going to have to do some growing.
Do you bounce? So if you fill your two buck tags in mass, do you go to New Hampshire or anywhere else?
I used to, but I don't anymore. I used to hunt 5 different states a year. But now the hunting's too good in Mass. I don't have a desire to go anywhere anymore. I mean, everything that I want is right here, and I get to sleep in my own bed every night.
It really is.
I've lost that desire to travel. I do an annual trip. We've been going to Illinois for a few years.
You go with John?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fun. We see, you got a potential out there. Any day you're in the woods to shoot a 200-inch deer, 'cause they're there.
Yeah.
They're few and far between, but I've seen a couple that really would have been nice bucks. I just wasn't able to get shots at. But it's fun. It's fun to go out there and watch deer. You can go out there and see 20, 30, sometimes 50 deer in an afternoon, and I love doing it. You learn a lot. You're watching them. You can never stop learning.
Yeah. What a deer John got last year there, huh? Pretty nice.
I was with him. Yeah, we went and tracked that together and dragged it out together, and that was a special deer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I think he just got that back from the taxidermist, yeah?
Yeah, yep. I picked it up when I picked up mine.
Who do you guys use?
Northeast Taxidermy,
Okay.
Middletown, Connecticut.
Yeah.
That's all I've used since, I think 2005 I started using them. They've done everything since.
Middletown, Connecticut?
Yeah.
Oh, let's see how far a drive that is from here.
Yeah.
And hopefully not jinx myself. I've got one nice buck that I put up cameras in a new spot this year that I never hunted, but I was in there late season after I had tagged out in bucks, and I was just doing late season scouting. Didn't even have a doe tag there, so I wasn't even carrying a gun. And found some really good sign. It's a hell of a walk to get in there, which is why I didn't, put up a camera last year, just getting a little lazy. But this year I went in May and put up a camera and checked it June, about a month after it was in there, and pretty nice start to one. He's who I'm going to be focused on for sure.
Nice, good luck.
First time I've got one, or I'm going to be trying to zone in on him, you know.
Good luck. Hope you get him.
Yeah, it'll be fun. People will hear about him throughout the season, I'm sure, and hopefully get to see a picture when he's down.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's going to be another good hunting season. It was another pretty mild winter.
Yeah, easy winter.
Yeah, and that contributes a lot to antler growth. If they come out of the winter in pretty good shape, they can start dumping minerals right into their antlers right away. So
oh yeah,
I'm excited. It's been a few good winters in a row.
Hopefully we got the good acorn crop this year.
Yeah,
spotty.
Not too good.
Spotty. And cool, man. We'll be checking in with you throughout the season too, and I'm sure it won't be the last we hear from you. And we'll see you at the banquet as well, right?
Yeah, I'll definitely be there.
All right, and your son be there too?
I believe he's going. Yeah.
Well, if he's there, I'll meet him there, and maybe we can do a podcast there. And,
yeah.
Cool. I really appreciate you coming.
No problem. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yep. We'll talk to you later.
All right.
Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/Hunt Suburbia, as we'll be releasing a lot more video content this year. And again, that Lanny Benoit Living Legend series is coming out that you will not want to miss. Really looking forward to that. So get on and subscribe. www.youtube.com/Hunt Suburbia. Big bucks I've been dreaming often, every night till I'm in a coffin. Vermont woods to the burbs of Boston, I'm looking for a tree to get lost in. Crisp mornings, little dust in the snow. Quality time, just me and my bow. Fall evenings, I know just where to go for some quality times for me and my bow. It's just me and my